Welcome to the Bag Maker's Workroom. I am Chris with Simply Classic, and today's Thursday, June 11th, 2026. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We go live every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you can't join us live, you can always watch the replay on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon so you are notified when I post a new video or when we go live. So I want to say hello to Christine from Virginia. She says she can't wait for this episode. I want to make the Lil Leah. Arnetta says hello from a very humid Washington, D.C. And then Lorena says hi from North Georgia. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We actually had to make a mad dash for the filming studio this evening because we had a thunderstorm hit right when we were getting ready to walk from one building to the next. And so we had to wait it out just a little bit and then, like I said, make a mad dash for it. But we need the rain. We can't complain. So today is the sewing episode, and here's what we have planned. We're going to start out by giving you some updates in the Simply Classic Scoop. I'll show you how to add a tablet sleeve to the Lil Leah. We'll feature our customers' bags in Artistry Avenue, and then, of course, we'll do some pattern giveaways and a Q&A at the end. So before we get started, please give me a thumbs up. It really helps us, it helps people find us, and that is what we truly appreciate, so thank you. So now it's time for the Simply Classic Scoop, and this is where I tell you what is going on here behind the scenes or what we have scheduled. And the first thing I want to do is give you a quick update about the Bag Maker's Workroom schedule. So originally we had planned to do a sewing episode on May 25th as well. I was going to hack the Leah tote, the big Leah tote, and show you how to add a laptop sleeve. We are going to change things up just a little bit. I'll still be recording that hack, but I'm going to post it as a regular video instead. And then for the Bag Maker's Workroom on the 25th, we'll be talking about some bag trends from the fall runway. I know how much you enjoy that. We enjoy that as well. We love seeing what's new and upcoming. And, you know, a lot of people think it's early for fall, but the reality is those runway shows took place like months ago. Okay, so they do the fall runway shows in the spring or even late winter, early spring. So they already have all that figured out. Wish I could be that far ahead of schedule, maybe one day, but today's not the day. So anyway, we're going to take a look at that because, of course, we'll be taking a little hiatus August through October. We don't want to miss doing that episode. So we have some really exciting news, and we've been working, I say we, Taylor's been working and Shauna has been working very hard this week to get the new leathers up on the website. So basically all the leathers you saw from the live sale, except for the iridescent hides and the black, those are the two we're still working on. They'll be available next week, but everything else is on right now. So Lynn's Needle says, hi from the UK. My leather from the sale arrived and it is gorgeous. Well, thank you. Thanks for, I know that's a long way, but we do appreciate you ordering from us and, you know, having it travel that long way. I'm glad it made it to you so quickly. That's great. We're going to take a quick look on the overhead at some of these leather. We just have little samples here, but you'll be able to see some of the amazing colors that we have. Now, we have a lot of solids. Let me pull this up some. Here you go. We have a lot of solids, some really fun, you know, reds, burgundies, blues, browns, some grays, purples. We have some goats this time. So this is a solid black goat suede. And then we also have these really fun goat print, or they're goat hides, they're suede. They're actually like a leopard print. So we have a cream and black, kind of a pinkish and black, golden black, blue, okay, light blue, and then a red. So of course, any of those would pair amazing with either solid black or with the goat suede, but all of these hides are goat. Everything else we see here is lamb, okay? So check these out on the website. These are all available right now as we speak. And then, of course, we have some more we'll put up as the week continues. So before we move on, we need to pick our giveaway winner from last week's episode. And as a reminder, we're going to give away one PDF pattern to someone watching live and one who watches the replay. So we have the name of everyone who entered here. And we're going to go to the overhead. And we asked you, what was your favorite kind of tassel from tonight's episode, which of course was last week. We did an episode on tassels and we had all fun kinds of tassels to show you. This here was one of my favorites. I liked this little kind of boinky tassel. So cute. Okay, so let's see what we have. I'm going to mix these up a little bit. And Doreen says she loves the Ecologic tassel. Whoop, sorry. There we go. So congratulations, Doreen. So please email us within 30 days and let us know which PDF pattern you would like. Just let us know which episode you won on, and that email address is info@simplyclassic.net. If I didn't pull your name, stick around. We will be doing another giveaway at the end of the show. So now it is time to sew, and as I mentioned before, today we're hacking the Lil Leah Crossbody. The pattern is written with a water bottle divider. But we're going to remove that and we're going to increase the size of the bag and edit it and kind of change it up for an iPad sleeve. So this here is the one that I did in the video. Okay. It is the skinny version, so it's the taller version. However, I also had to add some to the height because we're going to look inside here and just show you that you see I've got a little pocket here for the charger, and then here is my iPad sleeve. Okay, so the iPad fits in here great. I have an 8th generation iPad. Okay, it just slides. You can see here we've got a pocket. Now, one of the things I did was leave the credit card slots in here. Okay, I think you can see that right there, and that is on this pocket. I used foam for everything except for the gusset. I used Decaville Light, and I did use Decaville Light in the upper lining. But for the front, the back, and all the pockets, I used foam. And because I used foam, I ended up, as you can see, quilting it. And that is really a great way to make sure that the foam stays on. I don't have fusible foam, so I just went ahead and did just a 1x1 1-inch diamond quilting here. I also increased the size of the pocket. You'll see that. And of course have my magnetic snap. You've got tons of space in here. Okay. So I think it's going to be a really fun bag for me to use. I travel a lot. I love to bring my iPad when I travel. It's less cumbersome than my computer. And so, this is going to be a great bag for me. So the Lil Leah hack is going to be our sew along for the month of June. So if you'd like to make this, you can join the sew along on Zoom. It's going to be June 30th. It's at 1 p.m. Eastern time, which is 10 a.m. Pacific time. The link to register is down in the description. And when you sign up, you're going to get an email that's going to include the Lil Leah pattern, details about all the pattern changes, how to prepare for the sew along, and the link to join the Zoom meeting. Okay, so basically what we do for the sew along is everybody joins. We take the first 15 minutes or so. We all introduced ourselves, and then I basically go over all the pattern pieces and what you should have done ready to go for the video. And then I go over a step, and as I'm going over the step, I talk to each one of the participants to ask what kind of hack you're doing. Now, one of the things that's kind of different about this hack is I can't tell you exactly how to change your bag. Okay, so this is a good learning opportunity. And what I actually had to do was take my iPad out, which you'll see in the video, and do a little bit of measuring to figure out whether I wanted to use the skinny or the mini, figure out if I wanted my iPad to be in there vertically or horizontally, and then make the appropriate pattern changes. So if you have an 8th generation iPad and you want it to be put in vertically in your bag, and you want to do the skinny version, then you can use all of my measurements. Otherwise, you're going to want to do something different. So, you know, some of you are Kindle, some of you have some kind of Android tablet. Any of that will work in this. You just got to figure out which one you want to use, where you need to add your inches, whether it's to the length or the width. Maybe you don't need to add it all. Maybe you just need to make the changes on the inside of the pattern. So this video is going to take about 40 minutes. It's a little bit longer than normal, but I do want to run through the whole thing. Make sure you stick around because at the end of the episode, of course, we're going to be giving away another pattern and, of course, do a Q&A. Now, one other thing I want to mention before we get going is I realized afterwards that I forgot to give you the length of the zipper tape because the zipper placket is longer because instead of having the water bottle holder, of course, we have a zipper placket going all the way across. That's 12.5 inches. Okay, so that zipper tape is 12.5 inches. All right, so let's do some sewing. Okay, we're going to start out by taking a look at what we need to change on the bag. So I have a skinny Leah here, and I decided the skinny is the one that I wanted to change instead of the mini. Here is my iPad. And so I could either slide it in this way, which means I'd have to add to the width and the height would be okay. Or I could slide it in this way, which means the width is okay, but the height needs to change. This is the way I decided to go. So as you can see, my iPad is exactly the same height as this bag. I mean, just exactly. It's crazy. But even if I take this water bottle divider out, it's not going to fit in here because of the upper lining and my zipper placket. And I do want to be able to zip this, which means I need to add to the height. So what I've decided to try is I'm going to add 2 inches. So what we're going to do is take our front and back piece. I added 2 inches to the height. Now, there's no reason to cut it and add it to the middle because height-wise, there's no curves up here at the top. Okay, if I was going to add to the width, I'd want to cut this piece in half and add to the center to maintain these curves. Don't need to worry about that. All I did was added 2 inches to the height. So I cut 2 main pieces out, okay, of the new height, and also cut out, you can see my little dotted lines here. I went ahead and cut out foam to go in the back. Now, I decided I wanted foam instead of Decaville Light because I want to put my iPad in there and I want it to be a little more cushioned. So in order to put the foam on, I want, of course, to keep it out of the seam allowance. I used to use some 505 spray. And I'm going to quilt this to keep it in place. So I'll figure out what quilting pattern I want to do, and I'll do all that off camera. The other thing you want to make sure of is where your snap placement is. I don't want the pocket to just be this size. I decided I wanted my pocket to be a little higher. So I increased the height of my snap placement or moved my snap placement up 2 inches as well. So I have a new dot here for snap placement. So I did exactly the same thing with the pocket. I added 2 inches to the height of the pocket. Now, again, you don't have to do that. You could theoretically leave the pocket the same height, but I just felt like it needed it. I felt like if I didn't, it would be kind of skinny. It would almost be half this piece. And proportion-wise, you really want to stay in thirds if you can. So again, I added 2 inches to the height of the pocket, went ahead and cut out my pocket piece. And then I also traced 2 inches up on the dotted line, which is the stabilizer, and in this case is foam. I'm just going to use foam everywhere because I want to quilt this as well. And then went ahead and cut my foam out to the size of my dotted lines. Again, use some 505 spray to get that onto the back side of the pocket piece. We're going to need to increase the height of the lining. So I added 2 inches to the top here and cut out 2 lining pieces. I also added 2 inches to the top of my lining pocket and cut out a pocket piece. One other thing I want to mention before I forget, on this pocket, since I moved my snap placement up 2 inches on my main bag portion, I also needed to move it up 2 inches on my pocket piece. The other thing we need to think about, all these other pieces that we need to increase. First of all, let's talk about what we don't need to increase. I decided I'm going to go ahead and cut credit card slots, so I'm just That's all the same. Nothing changes there. My piping should be long enough with the measurement in the pattern. So I went ahead and cut 2 piping pieces. Now this is one of our new plaids, and I cut it on a 45-degree angle so I can get a little bit of a, you know, kind of a neat little design there with that. Okay, the other pieces that don't change are all of my, you know, slip pocket, key fob, you know, slip pocket accent, all that is the same. And the strap is the same. Now for my strap, I decided to do something a little different. I'm going to kind of play around with my strap a little bit. It's going to be a crossbody strap for me, but it's not necessarily going to be adjustable. I very rarely adjust my crossbody straps. I usually put them to the length I want and leave them. So I'm just going to take, and I didn't want the entire strap to be of this accent. So I'm going to take and cut it into thirds, and I'm just going to stitch these together and then just make a stationary handle out of my strap pieces. My slip pocket piece is the same. My bottom piece, okay, this is the bottom of the gusset, is the same. Nothing's changed there. My upper lining pieces have not changed. I put deck of a light on the back of these, okay? And then my upper lining side pieces have not changed. So again, 2 pieces, put deck of a light on the back of those. Okay, let's talk about what has changed. The gusset lining, I added 4 inches, 2 inches for each side, okay? The gusset side pieces, I added 2 inches to each one. So just to the top, added 2 inches. And I also put some light stabilizer on this. I'm not going to quilt the gusset. And so I had to add 2 inches to the stabilizer as well. I also had to add 2 inches to the strap connectors because the strap connectors essentially go on the side gusset pieces. And so since those are longer, our strap connectors need to be longer as well. Okay. And again, I stayed cutting those on a diagonal just for fun. Now the the zipper placket, I want it to go all the way across the bag, of course, because I'm not going to have this water bottle opener. So I want to be able to close it all the way. And so therefore I needed to increase the length of this. So I ended up adding 2.5 inches. So I added 2.5 inches to my main zipper placket pieces and 2.5 inches to the lining zipper placket pieces. Okay, so I have 4, of course, pieces for my zipper placket, 2 main, 2 lining. All my lining has some woven interfacing on the back. Okay, 1 extra piece is going to be for my iPad pocket. I'm going to give you like how to figure out what to do, because I know iPads are all, and you may not have an iPad, you may have a Kindle, you may have a tablet, you may have different, whatever it may be. So what I did was took the width and added 3 inches, because you can have a 1/2 inch seam allowance on each side, and then you have 1 inch so that you can slide this in. You can also see that it's not going to go all the way to the top. I don't want it to totally encompass my iPad. I just want to be able to slide it into a deeper pocket. So I decided that I wanted it to be, you can see here, it's about 2 inches shorter than my iPad. Okay, so measure your device, whatever it is you want to put in here, add 3 inches to the width, or take away 2 inches from the height. Now I did cut this on a fold. So you're going to take away 2 inches from the height, and then you're going to double that. I also am going to put a piece of foam in here because, again, I want to be able to protect this even though it has a case and a cover. And so my foam is a 1/2 inch less wide. Okay, so whatever your width is, whatever that ends up being, take away 1 inch, a 1/2 inch for each side. My height, or depth here, or I guess you say height, is exactly the same. So what I'm going to end up doing is making this pocket, slipping this foam inside, and then we're going to put a slip pocket accent on the top. And the slip pocket accent, I'm just going to go ahead and stitch through the foam because I don't want the foam to slide down or cause any problems. Okay. So those are all of the pattern pieces and changes. Of course, we are not going to use our divider stabilizer. You don't have to cut that. You also do not need to cut lining, number 1 piece. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and quilt and get the exterior of this bag completed off camera, and then we'll go over the changes for the interior and finish putting it all together on a tutorial. Okay, let's start out by going over what I have completed, and we will start stitching the lining. So I have the exterior completed, and you can see I did just a 1-inch diamond quilting on here. I ended up using one of our new plaids as a, I think this is like the houndstooth one actually, as the piping, just to add a little bit of interest. I have that, of course, on the bottom here, and quilted the back as well. You can see I did not quilt the side pieces. I used Decovil Light on those, and of course added the strap, or the strap connector. And then I do have my strap completed, and I kind of did this fun section here in the middle. It's not going to be adjustable. I'm just going to go ahead and attach it directly to the connectors when I'm through with the bag. So all that is done, ready to go. I also have all of my parts and pieces done for the lining. So let's go over them. So I have my zipper placket completed. Okay, went ahead and pulled it apart. I'm going to find the center of each one of these pieces. And then we'll set these aside. These are ready to go. And then I have my slip pocket completed. I have my credit card slots ready to go, ready to sew on. This is my upper lining. Of course, I have the Decovil Light on the back of that. I have my key fob. I have my gusset with the 2 upper lining pieces ready to go for the sides, and I did mark the center of these with a notch. Of course, I have my 2 lining pieces, and then I have my iPad pocket piece. Now, when I showed you how to measure, I did not have any woven stabilizer on the back of the lining, so I went ahead and added that. And we're going to construct this first. So I'm going to put this wrong sides together, making sure that the short edges match. And we're just going to stitch this. And I'm going to use just about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, from here I'm going to go ahead and turn. And then I'm going to put the foam in. I'm going to have to wiggle it in here a little bit. Of course, I want to make sure it goes all the way to the bottom. And then I'm just going to go ahead and baste this top close using about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And I am sewing through the foam there. Okay. Now from here, I'm going to go ahead and put my lining, or my slip pocket accent piece on. So this is just basically like a big slip pocket with foam at this point. And I obviously have a bigger piece here than I need. And then we're going to do the same old thing and just put this around the top edge. And then we're going to top stitch this in place. Okay, from here, I am going to put the credit card slots on here. So let's see, I'm going to measure down, it's probably about 1.5 inches from the top edge, or probably, let's see, I will do 1.5 inches from the bottom of this accent piece. And then of course I want center from side to side this credit card slot, and I'm just going to stitch along the bottom edge. Okay, now I'm going to put a little bit of double-sided tape on this one. I'm going to put this right over. And I thought it was kind of fun to do these in different colors, or the different faux. So my underpiece is, of course, in the accent, and then I'm doing the top piece in the solid. And that will show just a little bit of the underpiece sticking out. I think it's going to look good. And then I did use a little bit of the adhesive lining on the back side of both of these pockets. I just like using that because the credit cards slide in and out a lot easier, and it just makes everything nicer. So let me see if I can get this off here, the backing off my double-sided tape. Okay, and then I'm going to stick this right on top. So the good thing about working with plaids and things with lines is that you have lines to match up to, so you can make sure that things are on there straight. I need to move this over just a little bit. Okay, and first thing I'm going to do is stitch around, and then I'll measure and stitch up the center. Okay, now I'm going to do my measurement. And I usually measure from both sides because, you know, sometimes maybe if you miscut this piece a little bit, it's a little larger, a little smaller, but I can see my lines are just about right on top of each other. So I'm just going to stitch back and up here. And I'm not going to leave a space. It's going to be right on the same line. So I'm going to start from the bottom this time. And come straight down that same line. Okay, and there are our credit card slots. So of course you can check it out. Make sure you're good to go, everything fits. Looks great. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and take one of my lining pieces, and I want to center this on top. Now, you have curves here at the bottom. We don't necessarily need to worry too much about those curves. I'm not going to put this all the way down to the bottom. I'm going to put it so that it is about, it's about 1.5 inches above the curve. I'm going to stay about 1/2 inch away from the side. I'm going to stitch. I'm going to do the same thing over here, stay about 1/2 inch away from the side, and I'm going to stitch. I'm not going to stitch the bottom because as I put this iPad down in here, it's going to come, you know, past this here and hit the bottom. I'm okay with that. If I were going to actually stitch this to the bottom itself, I would want to, of course, cut curves, and I probably wouldn't do these side seams, all that kind of good stuff. So I'm really just looking for a sleeve to slide this in. And I also want to make sure before I do this that when I have my zipper placket on, I'm not going to run into any issues with it interfering. So actually I'm going to bring it down just a little bit So I'm actually going to be about 1 inch away from the bottom. Okay, and that will give my zipper placket plenty of space to fall into the bag. So again, measure if you'd like. I'm going to stay about 1/2 inch away from the side. Go ahead and stitch. And I'm going to stay about 1/2 inch away from the other side. And that is going to form, a little bit of a space here, okay? And I still want to stay 1 inch away from the bottom. And actually, I could have gone up a little bit higher because I have my upper lining I need to put on. I almost forgot about that. So I'm going to take one of my zipper placket pieces, center it on this piece here. I'll stitch that and then I'll put my upper lining on. Okay, upper lining is going to get clipped. And then we're going to take the upper lining, turn it to the top, and top stitch, catching that seam allowance underneath. Okay, so that is the iPad pocket side done. Of course, with the credit card slots, should give me everything I need here on this side. So I'm going to take my other lining piece, again, find the center, and we're going to put the slip pocket on this side. Now this slip pocket is going to be great for, things like chargers and whatever else you might need to bring with your device, whatever it is you put in here. So I'm just going to center this. And don't forget, we do have a coupon code under our resource pages on our website for these Sew Tight magnets. So that's about 3 inches down. Okay, and then go ahead and put your other zipper placket on top here. We're going to go ahead and stitch that in place, and then we'll put our upper lining on. Again, turn that to the top, and we're going to top stitch. Okay, so now that we have both sides of our lining complete, and of course we have our gusset, we're going to put all of this together. So I'm going to find the center of the bottom of each lining piece. It's like I already found the center of that one. I have the center of my gussets marked, so I'm just going to go ahead and start wonder clipping all of this in place. So I always start with the bottom. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the sides. I always like to take my zipper tape and clip it out of the way so I don't accidentally stitch that. I'm going to match my upper linings, the seam there. And then Go ahead and wonder clip all the way down. And of course, we are going to need to make little snips in our gusset, because our gusset is the main, or the straight line here. To go ahead and get all of that to fit together. My wonder clips are getting weak. It's like they don't have the, I use them so much they don't have that kind of, when I, you know how sometimes when you get new wonder clips, they're nice and stiff? Mine are not. They tend to fall off. So we're going to be stitching this exactly the same way we stitched the gusset onto the main part of the bag, which I know we didn't do on camera, but basically we're just making tiny little snips here. Let me move this out of the way. Tiny little snips. These corners, you always want to snip your straight edge, which of course in this case is our gusset. We're going to fit that right in, and it is tight, okay? And then we're going to stitch. And I always like to stitch with my gusset up, okay, facing up. I'm going to start where I want this to meet. So I'm going to start right here. And then we're going to go backwards. And then come back down. In these little gusseted corners, I like to use hemostats to hold this place. Okay, and there is the first side of our gusset completed. I like to make sure everything looks good, and it does. I'm going to cut back these corners that want to curl up a little bit. And cut back just up to the upper lining here. I don't want to cut all the way to the top. I want to be able to open up the seam when I stitch, make it lay flat. And the smaller the seam, the harder that is to do. So I'm going to cut the bulk of the intersecting seams off. And then just cut back the seam allowance. Okay, good to go. So I'm going to take the other side, do the same thing, get my key fob so I don't forget it. So good about forgetting it. And I'm just going to slide that in between part of this seam. So clip the bottom. Clip the top. Go ahead and clip the sides. And I definitely want to put my key fob on this side because the other side is the tablet pocket, and I don't, you know, I had a lot of bulk over there already. So I'm just going to slide this up. And I do want to put it Okay, I want to put it on the side where my bag opens, so I'm going to wait and put it on the other side. So the side where basically that the zipper closes to is the side I want to put it on, so that I don't have to open up my bag all the way to get my keys out or whatever I have clipped to my key fob. These days it's not always keys, is it? Although I do keep even though I have a push start, I do keep my key on the fob so I know where to find it. Otherwise it just falls to the bottom of the purse. But sometimes I clip other things to it too. All right, so we're going to match these upper linings. And then wonder clip. And then make little snips. And fit that seam right in. All right, and we're going to stitch. Again, stitch with your gusset facing up. Okay, so basically I see the wrong side of the side I already stitched facing me. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut back the seam allowance again, just like we did last time. So there we have our lining completed. Okay. So let me, we're going to do drop-in lining with this. So I'm going to put some double-sided tape along the top of my lining. Opening up the seam allowances as I go. And we're going to use the edge of the stabilizer to fold this over. Okay, so we're going to be able to feel where that stabilizer is, and we're going to be able to get a nice crisp edge there. So let me peel the backing off this tape. And then I'm just going to fold. And again, I can feel where the stabilizer is. I'm just going to use that as my guide to fold this over. All right, and then we're going to do exactly the same thing on the main part of the bag. So I'm going to take this, put some double-sided tape right along the top edge. Now, this one's going to be a little more difficult to fold over because I don't have the deck of a light on the front and back. Instead, I have foam. So I'm going to fold the sides over first, and then I will kind of use that as a guide to fold the front and back over. I'll kind of be able to know, to fold it over the foam, but the foam isn't as stiff as this deck of a light, so it's going to be a little more difficult to feel that. But it's okay. It's not impossible. We may have to do a little adjusting once we slide our lining in. So just putting double-sided tape all the way around. Opening up those seam allowances, letting the double-sided tape hold those seam allowances down. Okay, so let me pull the backing of this tape off. And again, I'm going to start here on the sides, use that deck of a light, fold this over. Repeat that here on this side. Okay, and then I'm just going to kind of pull this tight to figure out where to fold the main part of the bag. All right, looks good to me. So now we're going to take our lining and we're going to slide it in. Now, one thing I want to make sure of is that the pocket for my device is not against my front, okay, because I already have a front pocket here. I don't want too much there in the front. So I'm going to turn this around and make sure that that device pocket is against my back. Okay, slide that right in. And then this is a bag where you have to match seams, okay? So you do have some bulk here. So I'm going to go ahead and wonder clip this in place. I am going to go to my cylinder arm to top stitch this in place. Let's see if I can get this seam matched up. And then this last seam matched up. Now, whenever you're putting two seams together or two pieces of fabric together and you're trying to match them up, if by chance you have one that is slightly longer than the other, you always want to put that one at the bottom, okay? Because those bottom feed dogs, even if you have a walking foot machine, are feeding that bottom fabric in slightly quicker than the top. So again, it's not nearly as dramatic on a walking foot. Walking foot's pretty even, but I still put it at the bottom, okay? So I can see here, it looks like my lining is just slightly larger. So as I put this on my machine, the lining is going to be on the bottom because I have a cylinder arm, okay? And then we're going to stitch around, so it's going to help all that fit in a lot better and ease in a lot better. Okay, so we're going to move over to the cylinder arm. We'll get this top stitched, and then we will check it out. I think it's going to be good. Okay, so here we are at the cylinder arm. I'm going to go ahead and stick the bag on, and we're going to get started stitching. So essentially what I'm doing is top stitching this together. So we're doing our final top stitch and stitching the bag together all at the same time, which is nice. Certainly, I guess you could say easier way in some respects to do this, but you know, you're top stitching. Sometimes it's hard to get these two layers to match up perfectly. I stay away from doing this on any kind of bag that's got a curved top edge. If it has a nice straight edge, then I will do a drop-in lining. And of course, make adjustments as you go. You can always put double-sided tape in here as well to hold it together. Okay, So I'm going to go ahead and cut the threads, attach my strap, and then we are going to come back live and take a look at the bag. All right, so that was our sewing episode for today. Again, the Little Leah. We are going to show the bag in the overhead. We didn't do that before, so let's run over to the overhead here and look. Well, we did do it, I guess. We did show the inside. Sorry, keep pull it back, but of course we have our iPad sleeve. We have our credit card slots on here. The piping was all done on the. I say bias, of course, you know, faux has no grain theoretically, but I did do it on the bias so that you get a different kind of look there. And then of course, you know, did this kind of funky handle just for fun, just to add something. This, I think that what I wanted to do was to use this faux very little throughout the bag. I just wanted to use it as accent. So I really didn't want to do the entire strap in it. I just wanted to do a section of the strap. So it's kind of what made me do that. And then of course the bottom, we have just the regular bottom section and the strap connectors. So I hope that you enjoyed that sewing episode. And of course, this is what we'll be making. So Grammy Jam Can says, love it as much as I like to make my own. I like these color choices. I have the fabrics and make copy creases. Well, great. Well, what I used, actually, it's a great, I'm glad you mentioned that. This is our cream faux leather. And then the plaid you're seeing here is our houndstooth. We only have one color in it, so it really matches well with the cream. You could even add a third color, like a dark brown. I think would be really pretty with it too, if you want to add a third color. Okay. So again, this is what we're doing for the sew along. So if you're interested in the sew along, make sure you go ahead and check the link below. And I want to see how you're going to change it up for your device, because we're all going to be different, I'm sure. So now it's time for Artistry Avenue, and this is where we choose 3 bags that were posted in our Simply Classic bag making community on Facebook, or that were emailed to info@simplyclassic.net. If we feature your bag, you can win a free PDF pattern of your choice. You'll have 30 days to email info@simplyclassic.net to let us know which pattern you would like. So let's take a look at this week's artists. So Lee made this plaid busta with a black flap and shoulder strap, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I love how she made sure that that plaid was centered exactly, you know, perfect. You can tell she fussy cut that. It is beautiful. This was Lee's first attempt at grommets. Okay, she did amazing. For the closure, she used a snap instead of a turn lock. And what she did was just place her hardware, her metal bag tag right over the back of the snap, so you can't even see it, right? She just went right through with that. I think that's a great idea. So I absolutely love this, Lee. Fabulous job. Stephanie made the Little Leah, and this is the skinny version, which of course is the taller and slimmer version. She used our, this is our faux large scale croc in the color chestnut. And then she used a solid color for the piping. And, you know, I know that piping can be a little intimidating sometimes, but I encourage you to try it. She said that she's had a Juki and she couldn't quite handle the very last line of top stitching. And it probably really wasn't due to the thickness more than just the size of the opening of the bag. But she was able to pop over to her local sewing shop and use their cylinder arm. And then she finished up. So this is really fantastic. Love the pop of blue too for the lining. That's great. And then Rochelle made this Little Leah, but she made the mini. So this is the kind of shorter, longer version. And it is really fun print. Look at this. It's got like little, I think they're bees and beehives and birdhouses. Love the strap. Kind of a rainbow color. She of course has her coffee cup coming out of it, which is great. Great for summer, right? I mean, this bag is really a great summer bag. So excellent job, Rochelle. This is really fantastic. So thank you so much to our featured artists for sharing your amazing makes. Don't forget to email info@simplyclassic.net within 30 days and let us know which PDF pattern you would like. So before we move on to our Q&A, let's talk about our giveaways. And we're going to be giving away 2 PDF patterns of your choice. We'll choose 1 live stream winner from the chat and 1 replay winner from the comments. So if you're watching live on Thursday, here's how to enter. All you need to do is type the word crossbody in the chat. So please only enter the keyword 1 time, and we'll pick a random winner while we do our Q&A. And this is open worldwide. If you're watching the replay, you can also enter to win. Just leave a comment with your first name and something you're looking forward to doing this summer, right? So something fun. You have until next Wednesday to enter, and I will randomly choose a winner on next week's episode. So let's take a look at our questions. Now, Madeline posted a question on YouTube, and she had a question specifically about my new reliable Barracuda machine. She said that it looks a lot like the Sailrite and asked me if I've ever used the Sailrite. I have not personally used the Sailrite. I know a lot of people who have it, though. And I've actually had a few of my students bring Sailrites to class and use them in the past. They work fantastic. And I do think that the reliable is actually kind of in competition with the reliable, or Sailrite and reliable are kind of in competition with each other, because the reliable machine is one that you're supposed to be able to take with you on boats. And they actually have a second version of the machine. The one I have is a straight stitch, but they actually have a zigzag stitch as well that is mostly used for sail making and such. So yeah, I think they're competing, and they're both excellent companies, excellent machines. Okay. Anthony says, when will the next subscription box become available? That is a great question. So actually, we're sending out the next round of subscription boxes starting on the 15th. So today is the 11th. So that will be, I guess, right around Monday, Tuesday, something like that. We'll be going ahead and sending the next round. That's when the subscription box is going to open up for June. So it'll be open from June 15th to June 30th. You'll be able to subscribe. Of course, we have 2 options. You can either pay yearly or you can pay quarterly. If you pay yearly, the benefit is that you don't have to pay shipping except for the very first box, okay? So after the first box, other 3 boxes are free for shipping, so it's a great deal for you. That is available in the United States, like the lower 48 only, okay? If you live anywhere else, obviously we have to charge you for actual shipping. Or you can pay quarterly, which means your credit card will be charged quarterly. The good thing about that, if you want to go that route, is that, if you want to skip a quarter, you can do that. You don't, of course, your credit card doesn't quite get hit as hard all at one time. So it does give you a little bit of flexibility as well as breaking up the payment some. Okay. So thanks for asking, Anthony. We'll definitely be going over more of that next week. And if you are scheduled to be renewed this quarter, watch for an email from us, because we're always going to send you an email when it's time to resubscribe. Good thing about our new website is that once you subscribe, you don't have to keep resubscribing every year. All you have to do is when you want to stop, you just need to go in and stop it. Okay. So I think we'll only have a few more quarters of sending people emails to remind them to resubscribe. And then after that, everybody's going to be good to go. So it's going to make it a lot easier for you and a lot easier for us. Okay. Let's see if one more question. Okay, Christine Whitaker says, when is the next leather class and what's the bag? Excellent question. So I actually been working on a bag. I'll tell you what, our biggest issue right now is we cannot get stiffener. We're having a hard time getting it. And so that's the reason why we kind of have a little lull here in the classes, is because we don't have enough stiffener. So hopefully Rocky Mountain Leather will get it soon, and we'll be able to get it in stock, and then we'll be able to get some posted. And I know a lot of you have been asking about the lacy. We definitely want to get another lacy up. And then I have a brand new bag I'm working on. Haven't started recording the videos yet. I'm still working on the bag itself, but it's coming along really well. And I'm hoping probably maybe next month I can start recording. So we'll see. It's going to be a good one. Okay, Jennifer says, what pattern is the top shelf navy bag? Okay, this one up here. This is the Leah. So this is the big version of the little Leah. Okay, so the Leah is big sister, I guess you could say. So the Leah is obviously more of a tote size bag, but you'll see here it also has a water bottle holder, a water bottle divider, and you can fit like a 40-ounce water bottle in here. I've had a lot of people do a lot of different things with this Leah. Some people turn it, I'll forget one that, or I'll never forget one. They turn this into their camera bag. So they put foam around here, and this was for their lens, like where you normally put your water bottle. They used it for their lens, and then the rest of it was for the rest, the camera. I've had a lot of people use it as a beach bag, where they roll up their towel and they put their towel where the water bottle holder goes, and then they have everything else in, the other part. Of course, people are using it as it's intended, basically a bag to hold the water bottle. And of course, it has crossbody strap, same basic design as the Lil Leah. You can see here the bottom. It's got kind of a panel here. You've got, of course, purse feet on this one because it's not a crossbody. And you can, of course, wear it as a normal bag. And it's just, this is how the Leah started, was with this bag. And then a lot of people loved the bag, but they wanted it smaller. And that's when we came up with the skinny and the mini version. So, yep. Okay. So let's see. I think we have a winner picked. And the winner is Diane. So congratulations, Diane. You have won a PDF pattern of your choice. So make sure that you email us. That's info@simplyclassic.net. You email us within the next 24 hours so that we can go ahead and get you the PDF pattern of your choice. So thank you so much for joining me for the Bag Maker's Workroom. Make sure you join us next Thursday, June 18th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for an episode about unique bag interiors. Don't forget to submit your Simply Classic makes by posting them in the Facebook group or by emailing info@simplyclassic.net. Please remember to click the thumbs up button on your way out. And until next time, everybody, happy sewing.